Every week I make a YouTube video. My typical week starts with going through my list of ideas if I don't already have something that I want to work on that I was thinking about over the weekend. This week I was originally going to start production on my next Tone Quest video, but that was delayed for a couple of reasons. You'll find out why in that video. And then I decided I was going to make a video about why I bought a Kemper in 2025. I'll touch on that briefly here. Basically, I've acquired all of these capturing profiling devices, and I've never really made any sort of capture slash profile slash whatever packs with them in any real meaningful way. It's always just been on the back burner. And I don't know if you can tell by how clean this closet is, but I've been very much in the clear all of my little side projects off my plate mode this year. I even pressure washed my driveway and leveled my shed by myself. Anyways, that video was really complicated. I ran into issues that I still have yet to solve with my Kemper, and I potentially broke one of my favorite amplifiers of all time, the Prometheus. Hoping that's not anything major. Luckily, I created NAND packs with that before I had this issue. You can get them from the link in the description if you're into those. Having both my videos go tits up and wasting 3/5 of my week had my anxiety at a 10. I got really depressed and I was just gonna say fuck it and drink the rest of the week and not release a video on Sunday. And then I looked over and it hit me. It's been staring me in the face all this time and I didn't even notice it. For a little context here, I reply to comments about modelers very often, saying something along the lines of, yeah, if I never started a YouTube channel, I'd probably still be using my Line 6 Pod HD. Ha 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 ha. If any of you have received that comment from me, I apologize for the monotone laughing. Well, in my crippling anxiety-induced state, it occurred to me, is that true or am I just a big dumb idiot man? So I'm making this video to find out. Am I a fucking liar or is the Pod HD as good as I remember? I have a band with my friends who I swear really exist. We're called Sacrificer, and yes, that riff that you ask about is from my band. The song's called Hail, you can find it wherever. We play occasionally, and when we do, I use this giant heavy annoying thing because we decided it was more convenient than having a bass player and another guitar player. At some point, after I started YouTube, I switched to using an 𝐴XFX3 Live because it could handle the processing power for both guitars, the vocals, and the bass.
Wait a second, Taylor, I thought you said you didn't have a bass player.
Sorry, I didn't explain that part. We use this little thing to play backing tracks, and that's where the other guitar and bass come from. Now I realize this is totally redundant, and I could just run pre-processed tracks out of the player, but then I wouldn't be able to tweak the tones on the guitar and the bass like a total psychopath during sound check, and where's the fun in that? There's also the fact that Line 6 just recently announced the Helix Stadium, which is a full generation lapping the Pod HD essentially. So the Pod HDs are potentially going to be even cheaper used here soon, until they become rare and then they'll be more expensive again. As a matter of fact, the video that I released last week was about which modeler is the best for under $700. I'll leave a card up here, whatever, if anyone still uses cards. Do you use cards? No one uses cards, right? Usually with those videos, I don't include used gear because prices and availability can change dramatically. But considering prices on the used Pod HD, this would fit in. I think they even sell them, do they sell them new? I can't look it up on my phone. I have to look this up. I'm using my phone for my thing over here. I gotta look this up on my tablet like a fucking boomer. No way. So you can still actually buy a new Pod HD Pro in 2025 for $549.99. This should have been in that list. My apologies. Now, one of the things I like about this experiment is it puts a lot of things in perspective for me again. For those of you who have shopped for cologne, it overpowers your olfactory senses and taking a whiff of coffee will reset them. Playing modelers all the time is like cologne and the Pod HD is like the coffee in this analogy. Maybe I should cut this out. I think it makes me look pretentious. So in order for my statement about still using the Pod HD to be true and the Pod HD to be able to work for me still in the year of your Lord 2025, I need to render the backing tracks with processing and run only the guitar and the vocals through the Pod HD because that's all it can do. Just, it can't process 4 things, it can process 2, I think. I don't even remember. I need to process the vocals and the guitar through the Pod HD. Hopefully it also doesn't sound like just total shit as well because I remember it being good, but they also say that memory is the first thing to go when you have Alzheimer's. This is the player we play our backing track. All right, moving on to my least favorite part of this process. I'm gonna time lapse it for you. Boy howdy. What the fuck am I saying? I've never said that before. What's up guys? I got the Pod HD in my rack of doom here. Should have reorganized and put it up here because it's gonna be a pain in the ass to dial in, but that's okay, we'll get through it. This is the last thing I had dialed in. Sounds weird. Sounds like we probably need to dial this in here. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, I probably have this set up for vocal. Let's see if I just have a patch in here. This user interface is really taking me back. I think we're just gonna have to metal rhythms. Well, that's some interesting stuff set up here. Let's just go here. Let's just make a new patch, right? We'll add in a noise gate. We'll add in tube screamer. This is really easy to dial in, actually. Line 6 coming through on the ease of use, huh? Let's go with the tread plate here. Now, this is an important thing if you want to use one of these units in the context that I'm using it in. I should probably actually explain to you what that context is. I'm using this with a Seymour Duncan Power Stage 700 as a power amp, and that is powering my Mesa Boogie 4x12 cab, and that's being mic'd up with 2 SE Electronics microphones, and that's what you are hearing on your end. Back to the video. It does not have a separate cab block. You can't do any sort of routing where it's like you have a cab go out on one side and a preamp sound go out on the other side, unless you get really in depth with the routing and you actually have 2 different amp blocks, because the cab is actually just sandwiched into the amp block. So you'd actually have to do that routing in the user interface. And since I'm gonna use a microphone in this case, that takes up our other output. You only have 2, you can only route in stereo. So, you know, it is what it is. But here's how you bypass the cab. And in the cab option, you just go no cab. Okay, not the greatest noise gate in the world. Let's see if we have a better noise gate. I don't remember what's in here. Oh, hard gate. Okay, I think these are our 2 gates if I remember correctly. You know, I kind of remember this. I kind of remember the gates being not so great in this thing. Yeah, it just takes a long time for the gate to clamp down. That's okay. We'll just live with that for now. And if I remember correctly, they did this update where you can get to extra features. Ah, yes. So you press enter twice on the amp and then you get extra features. So now we have our master volume, our sag, our hum, bias excursion. Let's see where we land with this. You know, for what it is, this sounds pretty good, man. When you take it on the terms that it's an almost 15-year-old modeler at this point, and I think I bought this in like 2015 or something like that. I bought it, you know, after it had been out a while. Actually, fun little story. I used to go into the bathroom at work in the morning and check the forums to see like if there were any new updates on it or anything, because I was waiting for like the extended parameters feature to come out. Take a shit in the morning at work and check the forums. But anyways, take this on the grounds that this is an almost 15-year-old modeler at this point. And with that in consideration, I don't think it sounds bad. It doesn't have quite the dynamics that like a modern modeler would, but man, I don't know. Is this gonna cover the bases that you need? You know, I feel like those are the things that are really important, not the, you know, percentage accuracy that it's close to. Does it sound good to you? Does it sound good to your ear holes? Then like, it's fine, right? Let's throw some effects in here. Let's try a different amp real quick. Oh, I remember this was a big deal when they released it. Again, we have to put the cab at no cab. This is a Soldano Slow 100. Now, in full disclosure, I don't remember which one of these amplifiers you had to purchase some of these amplifiers in like different packs, which was lame. Unfortunately, Line 6 learned their mistake, but some others haven't. Anyways, woo! You know, there's not a lot of low end though, and I don't know if that's just like the models or if it's inherent in the unit. Let's try to find something that has more low end, yeah? Oh, here we go. Okay, so this is a 5150. I mean, sort of. So the modeling is definitely dated. It just sounds like all the tone is focused in the mids despite how I have it set up. And this is an amp I'm really familiar with. So, you know, I know what that should sound like set the way it is. It's just, you know, it's just missing a lot. It's missing a lot. Now, does that matter? I don't know, it might matter to you. Maybe it doesn't matter to you. But let's set up a full signal chain here. Maybe we can compensate for that a little bit with an EQ. Let's see. Let's do a bunch of low end here and see what happens. Much better. There's like, you know, some girth back in the tone. So I used to have a pretty dramatic signal chain on this with a bunch of effects that I could turn on and off with the FBV board. If you saw that in the earlier part of the video, I used to turn that on and off with the FBV board and use the pedal for different like effects parameters and stuff. It's very cool. Does a lot of things. And anytime I do a model or anything, people always ask me about the pitch shifting, because as I've come to learn, pitch shifting is definitely different on every unit. Sometimes there's a lot of latency, sometimes it just doesn't sound good. So I remember the pitch shifting being good on this, but let's see. Maybe I am wrong. Move this guy over here and then probably put the pitch shifter here. Maybe the bass whoop, goddamn. This is the way I would use it normally. I usually use it at like a 50% blend just to make stuff heavier. This is really surprising because there are modelers that are newer that have really bad, like any of the cheaper modelers usually have really bad latency with the pitch shifter, and it's just very noticeable when you're playing it. And the pitch shifting actually doesn't really sound that great. There's like artifacting and stuff in the pitch shifting, but this sounds and feels really good for how old it is. Smart harmony, pitch glide. I'm now using a pitch shifter to transpose my tuning down 2 steps. So I'm in C standard normally, so this should be like B standard or something. There's not latency there. Like, it feels very good and it feels tight. Just the sound quality is not super great. It's gotten much, much better over the last 15 years. Surprise, that's a non-statement. But surprise, it's got better over the last 15 years. Still very good though for a 15-year-old modeler. I mean, you know, pretty cool. Single note stuff, it's fine. Chords is where it gets a little bit messy. Okay, let's bypass this for now and let's add some delay and reverb. I really liked this low res delay. Let's see if I still like it. It's a cool one, man. Let's go over and add a reverb in here as well. Now, we don't have a ton of blocks to play with, but I think probably for most people this is fine. You know, there's a limitation on some of the lower priced Helix stuff too, like the Pod Go and even the 𝐓𝐇𝐀𝐍𝐿 Stomp for that matter. You know, unless you want these crazy signaling chains with lots of, you need more processing power for that. But, you know, for something like this, I think it's okay. And it's worth mentioning too that this is the Pod HD. If you bought this new today at that $550, you'd be buying the Pod HD Pro X, which had more processing power. I don't know if you can add more blocks to it, but it did have more processing power. So, you know, for what it's worth. Let's see if I had any cool reverbs in here. Oh yeah, you have this particle reverb. It's not exactly a shimmer reverb, but it's not totally dissimilar. I want to take care of this gating problem, and I'm going to do that with the devil by my company, Obsidian Audio. Let's throw that in front. Hopefully this works. I remember some of these older modelers did not take pedals very well. Dude, this sounds awesome. I don't remember this thing sounding this good, but it definitely makes a lot of difference having like a fast reacting. I used to have to do this trick where I'd run 2 gates in the signal chain and like tweak them, and it just never really clamped down right. But then having a modern gate now in front of this thing really makes it way better. This thing's badass, dude. I'm having a lot of fun with this thing. I wanted to do this with vocals as well. I need to set up a signal chain for that. I'm actually gonna do that off camera because it's probably gonna take me a while to remember how to do it, so let's just... I have this vocal chain set up now. I just wanted to demonstrate that this works, you know? Yeah, it does, it does. You can be a guitar player and a vocalist with the Pod HD Pro. If you're one of the boomers that wanders into my channel, you're probably like, what the f is this? What am I watching? But it's what we do here. All right, so in conclusion here, I think that if I was still using the Pod HD Pro today, I would be totally fine. I would be totally fine. I could get along with it. Would I be using it though had I never started a YouTube channel? That's really difficult to say, man. I'm not really sure. I will say that upgrading to the Axif X3 with all of its processing power and all of its routing capabilities was a really nice luxury upgrade. But I could still get by with the Pod HD if necessary. I was perfectly happy with everything that I was getting out of it in this video. And right now, it's worth mentioning too that there are a handful of them on Reverb for like around the $200 to $300 mark, which is just pretty crazy if you compare it to other things in that price. I think it smokes most things that are new in that price range, you know, given the differences in technology. And the other important thing that I would note here is that the experience of using it was actually enjoyable. Like, the user interface is really nice and easy to navigate, and that's such a big deal for me personally. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but the actual experience of using it, you know, it makes a really big difference to me. It really does. This video was a lot of nostalgia. It was a lot of fun to make. If you liked it, make sure to hit the like button. If you really like it, you know, consider subscribing, doing all those things. Let's go back over here. I'm gonna play some tunes to close this thing out, yeah?